for life and understands the importance of finding a creature across the way. Hello everyone, good morning, happy Thursday. Turning off a fan that will help with the noise volume before I switch on. It is Thursday, I have not pruned myself, no idea. Oh, look at this, I've got, I think this is pot pie. I'm just going to be honest, I think this is pot pie from like a year ago. That's why I don't wear this shirt anymore. There's nothing wrong with spilling pot pie, but then if you don't clean it up, you're like that. I've really give you guys too much information. Nate, you're taking a shower, which means you're listening to me and you ain't got no clothes on, and I've discussed this with others. Some of you have admitted to having intercourse while I'm on, and thank you. Pretty freaking honored. Yeah, we'll just let that ride. Again, right off the tails of me saying I give too much information, I say that. See that? I'm not muted. And welcome to Thursday. I'm not sure why I'm doing a show today. Really not. I was throwing some slides together, and life's short. Just all this, oh, let's wait. Let's wait until this time, and then when we get on this time, there's people that are like, James, you're you're taking too long. You gotta condense, and then I've condensed. Now those people don't fucking say a word. They're not like, hey, let me suck your appendage because you did what I asked. There's no hey, thank you. I'm gonna join Patreon. There's no, hey James, I joined Patreon because you shortened the show. Funny how that works. Funny how that works. It's not funny. Am I laughing? Ha ha ha. Am I laughing? Guys, I'm gonna need to use sarcasm. The fact is that I am unemployable as any other thing but an entertainer. And it has dawned on me that me trying to be an entertainer and not using sarcasm is fucking hard, okay? I tell you profound things as much as I can. I squeeze the nectar from every berry. I really do. I really do. I really do. Every berry. Every single nipple I can find. I will find a way to extract something and bring it to you. I will. And without sarcasm, man, it's getting hard. Oh, it's getting hard. I think for you to clear your field, so I think maybe I need to slip out of the role of alchemist, because as alchemist, I don't want you to think that a sarcasm is fine. Why? Because you should be practicing your magic, motherfucker. You should be practicing your magic. And to practice your magic, I need your words to have a solidity and an intent to them. I really needed this during Corona because I was a little bit scared. My immune system was kind of like, fuck. And some friends were falling around me, and I didn't like it. And the overarching penetration of a New World Order was coming, and I was not ready for that amperage. And so I was like, guys, I need you guys to assemble. I need you to fucking grow up and open your eyes. And I wrote blueprints of mind control. And is that sarcasm? It's complicated, D. It's complicated. You got to figure it out. I've told you guys that every show is a lie. I will tell at least one lie, and that lie could be that every show I'm going to tell a lie. That this could actually be the lie. But everyone forgets that part. Not everyone. See, that could be the lie. So yeah, everyone. There you go. There you go. And you end up in this really interesting liquid state where I constantly find myself on an alley with some greasers, an airship, telling me, hey James, let's think that knowledge is real. Hey James, let's think that knowledge is real. And I'm like, hey man, don't you get that? Bring it down here. We got a cult of belief and we need to think it. And it's a constant battle over and over again, over and over and over again. And people are like, yeah, I love this concept, James, and it's a concept. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not a fucking concept. Look around. This world is built on belief. And the shape of architecture truly is the only energy that exists. Architecture itself, shape itself, is truly the only form of energy that exists. We think of energy as being energy. We do. We think that energy is energy. And we think that there's a certain way that you extract energy. A lot of us are like, oh, you get it from batteries, which is cute, right? But we don't actually get energy from batteries. We put energy into batteries. Where does the energy come from? Where does it come from? I'm waiting. Put your answer in chat. Put your answer in the comments. Where does the energy come from? I think that all energy comes from shape, and what we mistake for energy is actually just the instantiation process. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use that word. It's instantiate. To create something into the int main that previously was not existing before, but yet its code structure is known unto the underlying library. Instantiate. You instantiate a child. You ask the network for permission to create a new IP. You literally do. You ask nature, hey, can I have permission to create another IP address called little Stevie? And Gaia says, I'm going to need you to create a smart contract. And you say, okay, what do I need to do? Well, you just got to stick your woo-woo in the hoo-hoo. So just take your hee-hee and put it in the hoo-hoo. and take your he, she, and unite. You create a smart contract because two different people on the network have created an agreement, a verification of each other. And by each of you vouching for each other, you create another IP on the network. And the network says, okay, you can do that. And so it does. And Gaia is really generous about that. Gaia knows that you are a really long line of code. It goes back for, hundreds of thousands, probably millions of years. Quite frankly, probably a Kothothafloth, which is ancient Hermetic term for, it's kind of like an eon on acid. It's a kerfuffle because it requires a liquidity of time space to understand just how long ago it was. You could just say in the long, long ago. I kind of like that. But people are going to be like, well, I need a date, and dates grow on trees, but that doesn't mean time's real, does it? Does it? Dates grow on trees, but that does not mean time is real. You're watching James Drew Live. I don't know why. I fucking hold a gun to your head. Am I making you listen to me right now? I've told you about Nate not wearing clothes. We got Stretch in the house. She's got balls of balls. Everything's going good, guys. But I'm actually going to tell you about some things. And all I got to do is just drag it over here. Just dragging the window over here to tell you about this. So I wanted to do a show Monday on this, and it was under a different title with a different thumbnail. And then when I write the description on YouTube, if I have to cancel the show, I lose that description. There's no way of saving that, and so anyway. This is a thumbnail for Monday. Maybe it doesn't quite fit the vernacular of what we are. I actually want to talk about some point. Maybe that point is right now. Who knows I don't know what I'm going to say. But maybe I wanted to discuss perfection. On Monday, I wanted to convey the idea that the generation that raised me thought that the definition of perfection is never to make a mistake. And that generation raised me, and I drank their milk and grew under their tutelage, very tall. And the sequoia that is me, and those other sequoias around me, you, namely, anyone else who grew up from that same milk of that generation, understands that perfection is actually the ability to make a mistake well. And we are living among the orthodoxy of people that insist that's not true. There's a lot of dead space, a lot of psychopathy around us, and that you can understand that psychopathy is simply just an unwillingness to trust the network enough to open. And if you value yourself enough, then you start to actually separate yourself from that orthodoxy, from that psychopathy, and say, I'm sorry, I need something deeper. You sow your roots into a soil that has the ability to dilate more. So you can't listen to pedophiles, I'm sorry. You can't listen to sexual predators who change their names. You can't listen to fucking rodeo clowns who spent their life throwing tomatoes at people. You can't listen to people that sacrifice members of their own audience and just pick a scapegoat every day. You can't listen to people that tell you it's a prison planet. You can't listen to people that tell you that they have a secret esoteric answer that no one else but them has ever heard. These stories are important because the orthodoxy needs them. There is the ability for you to trot, is the ability for you to feel safe. All of us know there are lions, there are predators in the world. And our ability to run away from our fears is a right that you have. Birds have no hands, which means that they are constantly diving face first into everything. And if you compassionate what it would mean to become a bird, it would have to come from an allegiance to fear, and more importantly, the allegiance to running away. A rabbit has a very powerful fucking kick. I'm not saying it's a kick that would do damage to you or break your face, but it's a kick that will propel this creature like 20 times the mass and the length of its body into the air. Deer are the same thing. These are the birds of land that have decided that my only energy, my only focus is going to be that which is running away. So denialism itself is the perfection of flight. It is the perfection of this ability to run away. So we've learned from the squid, we've developed melanin to squeeze the black ink to deny ourselves of what's truly happening, and this makes us feel okay. Denial itself is a nectar from source. You understand? There are two nipples. A lot of you guys are like, oh, I like this already. Yeah, there are two nipples, my friends. One nipple is white. The whitest milk of purest truth, and it burns on the tongue. The other is soothing and cool and black, and it makes you forget. And this ambrosia, man, it's good to be here. Welcome to James True. I would turn on my camera outside. I apologize. I realized that I had to unplug something to take something with me online because speaking of energy, batteries do not have energy. In fact, my laptop does not work because the fact that it has a battery has now decided to say, hey, look, I don't want you plugging me in. I'm just going to claim I don't work anymore. So thanks a lot, Apple. New battery's on the way. I will let you know if I'm able to unglue the thing and repair it. But we are finally, oh, yeah, I already got the slideshow up. Look at that. Look at that. So perfection is an evolution. We've evolved the definition of perfection, or I wish more of us would. We are surrounded by those who think that they can squeeze their butthole so tight that no one will notice that they make a mistake. And this I think actually makes all of us harder to open ourselves. And I'm going to be a lot harder on people than you might like. I'm going to be a lot harder on other voices that you might hear because I want to create the most dilationable atmosphere or community here that I possibly can. So I have to create palisades against sarcasm, against all kinds of energy that's so easily brought in the door. A champion is always a charlatan, and the charlatan is always a champion. And these are not things that I think are inherently evil. I think that they are showing us the flaws in ourselves. And I know that Lemuria is here already. And I know that the haze of Hades itself is here with Lemuria too. And that the squid ink, we were underwater cave diving, and some of our friends who are cave diving with us do not understand the subtlety of not kicking up the silt on the bottom. That silt clouds everything, and there's no escape, and it creates fear as some of us asphyxiate in that kind of darkness, and that creates more silt to be stirred up even more. And some of you are professional cave divers, and you're like, what the fuck? And I see you if this silt wasn't in the way. And we're gonna hang out on this tether line, and we're gonna breathe as slow as we can, because we know the only thing that's gonna fix this is time and regulation. Some people call this Darth Vader. Evil sound, right? But I'm a scuba diver. This is the most meditative, peaceful state I have ever found. And knowing that you have a finite amount of breath, knowing that you have exactly so much time here makes all of the reef pop. Everything becomes important. It places you in the meditation of any game that we play, where there's a quarter and a half and an ending. And it creates that scarcity, which some of you hate. And it creates that bubble, that sonic bubble, which allows the importance to be there. But how can you be important when you're surrounded by people that are grasping for immortality? Because to grasp for immortality is to take the moment, the importance of the finitude of things, and to flip it a bird in the face and say, fuck you. You don't matter at all. Because I will outwit you, moment, and I will gain immortality. And this is the crystal prison that I call omniscience, a crystal prison. Crystallized prison. Looks beautiful. You really want to have that. And then you become it and you realize there's no more mystery. Hey, It's an orthodox wet dream, isn't it? To know you're righteous and there's nothing you can do wrong. How could you do nothing wrong? You would not do anything at all. You would be frozen in an omniscience, right? I made fun of Andrea Cortez yesterday. 9 weathermen in a row were expunging the parables of a winter storm. And I'm hit with the truth from a friend of mine that the truth is that this actually is a disaster. A lot of people are freaking out and even dying, and even that reminds me of how really the only answer, the only compassionate answer. I want to say silence, but I don't think you understand what the meaning of silence is. That the only compassionate answer is witness. Witness is a kind of beholding. And I want you to picture that statue of Mother Mary, sometimes Jesus, but the idea is that her palms are out held, but they're asking you to give them something, but not like in a, hey man, give me alms. It's more of a, I am here to behold you. The only way you could capture this pose, honestly, is in a statue, because it's the somber patience that secretes this kind of flow. It's a kind of nectar. There's a lot of nectar in the world that we don't notice because we're fascinated by energy. And energy, as I said before, is just the validity of a contract. It's a smart contract which you invoke on the network through kinetics. And you have an exchange with gravity. You have an exchange with a lot of vorpal forces that are out there, a lot of thermodynamics at play that you create smart contracts in. A whirligig is a kind of seed pod that has grown one tail. And that tail spins, and it looks cute, but if you were to truly look at the energy of that, the vortex, the cavitation that is taking place on an energetic, like electrical level, is quite frankly a wormhole of death, an annihilational vortex that is destroying all time and space in between in order to preserve the whirligig's levitation. The whirligig has made a contract with gravity itself to say, I want to sustain my falling so that I can express a calligraphy of who I am as I do. And if you were smart, as I was as a child, you would chase the leaves as they fell from the tree, because you knew if you caught a leaf before it hit the ground that you held a special thing. And I did not understand how profound I was until I remembered that I used to do this thing. Yes, I'm calling myself profound. Yes, you're allowed to do that here. It's fine. The profundity of understanding that I caught a leaf before it touched the ground, and before I unwilling to the leaf pulled it off the tree, is a special thing. This is a capturing of a moment in space. I used to keep an owl in this house. I've had many wildlife animals for different reasons, and I've always pictured the opportunity to be able to catch the feather of an owl before it hits the ground, but one that was given voluntarily. I have feathers that were given voluntarily, but I was not there in the moment in which it was dropped. I've woken up in the morning and Chewy, the great horned owl, has left me a feather, and I still think this is super magic. But to capture that before it touches the ground would have a higher kinetic energy for me. I would be able to invoke that feather on as a smart contract and use it as a magical item. Why? Is it because the feather itself is magical? If you were to find that feather at a flea market, would it magically fix all your bills if you were to sign your name with its pen? I don't know. I tend to have a belief that it may not necessarily work that way, because the power of this magic is in you. And when I say in you, it is really just the shape of your fractal antenna and the shape of the constellation of the neurons that fired as you captured that event, as you captured the magic of that event. Some of you are tarot readers and you turn the card, and this is a finite opportunity to capture an event. It's the same thing. It's the architecture of energy. We are confused by this technology of shape because We do not intrinsically see the power of shape. We're learning, but instead we've decided that the power of shape is actually in the permission to invoke contracts on the network. Some Orthodox people will say that they are inherently morally good for no other reason than that they have had kids. That's all it takes. I'm not here to disagree. I know that morality is a secretion that comes from me, and so the morality of what I do and how I do it is really a very personal thing. In fact, if I catch myself trying to show off my morality to you, I know that I cheapen that potlatch, this special word. I cheapen the magic of that morality because I'm exercising that morality and converting it into profit right away by showing it to you and gaining prana from your exchange. The energy I feel personally is lost in that. This is the idea of giving to someone without needing recognition. It's also the concept of potlatch. The valuable items of our family are kept wrapped in a bearskin or in a safety deposit box. And once a year, in a formal ceremony, perhaps, they are brought out and presented and shown to those who we deem worthy. It's a form of respect that only exists by coveting something. You understand? It wouldn't be respect if it was always there. I used to despise boxes. I used to want everything out. I still have that problem. And I've learned lately to appreciate the idea of having something covered. That the gesture itself of uncovering something is a ceremony, and that more importantly, that ceremony is an instantiation of what was coveted no longer being coveted. It is we open at 9 o'clock and we close at 3. And the moment that you come to the place to get the coffee or to get the whatever it is, and you are at 3:03, you start to find that you covet this place and you covet the ability to access it, and that the coveting of this comes from the fact that you couldn't get there. This is the essence of romance, my friends. One of the sexiest places on a woman is the back of her neck as she turns away. It's a slap of wind with electric fingers, and it changes everything. This is the architecture of shape, the science of all these things. Sorry, I'm not paying attention to the visual cues in the show because there's just a lot to focus on. You got your A and your V, your audio and your video. You know, what are you going to do? Hope you guys are doing well. Good to see you. Amel, good to see you. Mark Bloom's in the house. Stretch in the house. Troopy's in the house. Nate has got some pants on. Right on, Nate. Juggler's assistant, Graham. Yeah, owls are cool as fuck. They are. Anyway, why are there no green stars? Bitches? Yeah, I said bitches. I think dogs are cool. Set literally is the dude on top of the coffin, so we can say that, right? Yeah, man, we can do that. There's no green stars. There's no green stars. James, why are there no green stars? What do you mean there's no green stars? James, there's a leprechaun that disagrees. He's got orange clovers. He's got green stars. Pretty sure there's green stars in Lucky Charms. Are these related? It could be. It could be. Hey, Ace, yo to you. It could be that they're related. Probably not. Maybe they are. Let's say they are. Point is that when you start to look at the overall essence of light, first of all, I don't want to be the one that tells you. First of all, I don't want to disagree with science. I think that was like hip to do, right? Where it's like, oh, science is wrong because we only know the truth, and you could do that, but it's like, no, I tend to think that science is. It's not that they're wrong. It's that they are very obelisk right. They are very right in the obelisk, but maybe not the parabola, that kind of thing. And so, they learn. 20 years later, everything's usually disproved. 50% of all research papers will be proven wrong in 20 years. 2 out of every 10 in a recent test, 2 out of every 10 scientific papers that had like clinical results were unrepeatable by others. Okay. You could say it's fraud. You could also say that the fractal space, the medium of reality, is changing itself. I've tried to argue this, but then the Mandalorians came in and were like, no, you don't believe the way we want you to believe it. And it's like, no, bitches, the resolution of space-time is changing. And in the changing of that resolution, there's going to be certain details that suddenly become apparent, and more important, certain details that become clipped or culled. These are expansionary terms, even though they sound very nihilistic. They're expansionary because they're going to allow you to process more triangles by giving you the ability to ignore others, right? So this is a kind of cunning insight, this idea of deniability. The idea that there is a triangle on the backside of this shape, and I don't fucking care what it is. I don't need to know right now. If I walk around this bitch, then show me the other triangles. And the reality probably works the same way. Depth perception is completely controlled in the cochleus. I like the cochlea, but, coccyx, probably confusing. So we'll call it the cochlea. But the all this depth perception is really given to you by a swashbuckling liquid rotating around your inner ear. And so the limbic inputs that you get, the true zetics of what you get, really comes down to an action potential of 1.01 milliamps. Oh, that's it. Blip. 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 It's not even that. And what you experience as intensity is actually frequency. This is what pain is. And it's the same pressure, exact same amount of energy, exact same voltage. If you were to be tased, you'd be tased by 1 milliamp both times. The only difference would be the frequency. Your entire fucking universe, my friends. 20 amino acids and 1 milliamp of impulse. Some might call this digital. You can see that, James. It's analogously digital, is what it is. What is analog? It is the ability for you to quantize yourself. You have the ability to stretch that spectrum to whatever resolution you want. If all of us have the ability to have a different resolution spectrum, then really, we're just a fucking fractal antenna. We're just a fractal antenna. Is that a fancy word, James? Yeah, but I don't mean it to be. U.S. Patent 6452553B1. The fractal antenna is a technology which utilizes the inherent nature of shape itself to allow a singular device to receive multiple simultaneous signals. About the closest you and I could get to have an analogy to scalar waves is to consider the fractal antenna and the genius that it's done to create an omnidirectional listening device for blips, for Bluetooth blips. Milliamps inside the space that you think is outside of your body, but really is simply outside of your nucleus itself. And that the blips that are happening in the cytoplasm, that creates a sonar because the liquid is pinging and the nucleus, the ion channels are feeling the vibrations, and you're saying, oh my God, that's a flower. Oh my God, that's a bird. Hey, that's a hot pocket. All these things have a certain signature. And that signature is declared by you, but more importantly, verified by the symbiosis of the smart chain around you. So you ask for verification. Hey, did you see that? Yes, I did. Bling, bling. You guys just verified each other's contract. When you have a verified contract, when you place it into your system thinks it has more viability because it's been verified. Now, your system of verification right now, because you're in a symbiotic realm, is the asking of others, the pluralism. Pluralism verification is a kind of verification that's built into smart contract networks. James, stop talking about crypto. You're talking about crypto without talking about crypto, James. I can see you do it. It's like, yeah, because the universe is revealing itself. And banking is the first time that Gaia whispered, there's information. There's information. to inform, is to shape consciousness. Remember I told you the only energy is shape? Fractal antenna is the first proof of that. Here's another fractal antenna. James, why does it have a Jewish star? Because it's a conspiracy antenna. That's why, motherfuckers. And the shape itself is intrinsically built in to its function. Shape is all power. All power, all energy is shape. We change culture as much as culture changes us. And we are slowly unlocking the magic of shape through creations of its earliest technology. One of the earliest technologies that we developed that utilize shape is called shelter. Shelter. The transmogrification of shelter, right? To enact the shell, to invoke the shell is to remain dry in the rain. To invoke the shell is to remain warm in the winter. To invoke the shell is to share a cave with a bear. To invoke the shell is to grow a family and have a clan. It is the shape of the cave, and the technology is available to primitive man. It is the shape of all things that is the technology that is everywhere. Your intrinsic ability to tap into, and use this language is actually based on your entitlement on the network. Your entitlement on the network, my friends, is going to require your belief. Your belief is going to require you to stop looking at pluralism as a form of verification. You're going to need pluralism as a verification to simply move throughout the network and not scare other people. But your reality engine, the work core of who you are, is going to require you to abandon knowledge as some sort of sacred thing and understand that it's simply petrified belief. It is belief that has been invoked over time, and its magic has been tested over and over again. And that simply by testing that magic over and over again, it gets embedded in your cerebellum by your ancestors because they know that you will be able to invoke this belief without having to burn a lot of calories. You're calling that knowledge. You're giving it a hermetic seal, and you're claiming that there is a sacredness to it and that you hope to discover it out there in the world when it is inside you the whole time. And what is inside you is the inspiration that you find from being inside its cathedral. Shape is the only energy of this place, and all of you have been elevated by the shape of architecture. On purpose, you've been manipulated, you've been sculpted like clay by architecture. Some of you are wearing belts. Some of you are wearing pants. Some of you are not wearing pants. All of this is the technology of shape and shelter. It's all there. We invent new kinds of power. We invent new kinds of energy to fool ourselves. And those in charge of energy would want you to think that energy is actually all built into the verification, into the kinetics of it all. But no. It's actually built into the shape, to the understanding. James, why do you keep showing the Star of Remframe? It's like, because the shape has power. And the fractal truth that shape has power, you are seeing in the real world right now. Tap into the resonance of the fractal the same way that this is an antenna. This is not a symbol. This is an antenna. These are shapes of tested antenna that work. They receive multiple bandwidth signals, and the only way it's going to be able to do that and fit inside of your tiny pocket is if you shape it like the Star of Remframe. James, this is really, I don't know what to do about this, and it's fine. You don't need to do anything about it. There's an evolution to all of this, just like perfection. Every shape is a machine, and energy is how we instantiate on the canvas. Energy is labor converted into smart nectar and gifted to a shape. Yes, we take a shape and we imbue it with the nectar of energy, and we're able to turn the key and invoke it. This is called run. We run the program itself. We run the shape of the whirligig? By dropping it from a limb in a tree and watching it fall. We're the ones that actually put the energy into the whirligig, right? By climbing to the tree and dropping it. Or the tree did it itself. Even the tree understands how to invoke things on the network. The tree has to show and verify itself on the network by being sturdy and strong long enough to even reach the height to which it could drop the whirligigs from and invoke that nature. This is Artemis's screw, the oldest form of moving water in ancient Greece, is a propeller stretched upon a line, a helix. And you and I are two helixes, not one, and I've told you that there's a waft and a weft to your generations, and that there's a stranger living inside of your tent, and that stranger is your parents and your children. And that you and your grandparents are the same, and quite possibly, if you do the math, at the most, you're probably going to be able to fit, maybe at the very, very most, 2 sets of great-grandparents, into the room. Because of that, you would have no idea that you were the same creature that existed 3 great-grandparents ago, and the same consciousness, and the only difference is that when you finally came to rest, you were able to drink from the nipple of amnesia and come back again. This process could be repeated faster and faster as we grow, just as the vine becomes less of a sine wave as it reaches the end of its line, as it reaches the end of its birth. And whether or not it flowers, whether or not it falls into a whirligig is something probably more to be determined by simply the artistic expression of the individual itself. And that's probably going to be based on a symbiotic equation of, hey guys, what do we need here? Do we need me to fall? Asked the tree. How am I symbiotically going to be able to contribute to this place in the best way? If I fall now, says the tree, I would create a house for millions and billions of burrowing worms, right? All of us get to choose what happens to our shape. Most of us want our shape, not most of us, but for a long time, most of us wanted our shape buried inside a hollow box. This is important if you think about it. A coffin is actually not really a coffin as much as it's a hollow insulator. It's a hollow insulator. You want to be in the ground, says the dead body, but I don't want to actually touch it. I don't want to become the earth. I want to become an insulator inside the earth. I'm a cachet that hasn't been returned. This is an interesting state to me. I've always found this idea to be creepy, and I'm not talking about death. I think younger I was confused, or maybe I just think death's creepy. You don't fear death. The release of death is actually going to be the thing that you beg for. It's your inability to reach death and to live inside of a kind of struggling pain at the end is what you're afraid of. All of us are afraid of that. And we've been given a contract that no matter where we put ourselves in this place, don't worry, death's going to find you, and you're not going to be stuck. This is really hard to remember these things. When we come in, we're screaming and we enter into fluorescent world. The OBGYN or whoever's delivering the baby is, their entire face is covered. There's sterility is telling you how dirty you are. There's importance to check your vitals. You're just came through a tunnel of light. Could have sworn you were dying. You felt that your relatives were there, but you didn't realize that your relatives are there because you're inside of your relative. And you're heading yourself down this shape. This fallopian shape is giving you this ability to slowly realize and not be able to communicate to anyone that you are forgetting who you were. Every moment that you transmit yourself into this new limbic space, as you create yourself into this new baby, is a 9-month opportunity to meditate on what's just happened. It is known for a fact that the brain carries a possession every day until it goes to bed at night. And the possession that the brain carries is, I will remember this, I will remember this, or I will process this, or I will process this. And the brain is really just kind of patiently waiting for you to get the fuck out of the way so it can reboot its operating system, but more importantly, so it can compress and analyze the data that you downloaded to it that day. So the sleeping becomes an important part of the function. So if you could think about this on a scalar level, then the genetic sleeping of an intergenerational sleep would be just as important. So the movement from great-grandparent to great-grandchild could be looked at as a resequencing, an opportunity for a 9-month retooling, a rebuilding for a new operating system that would accommodate into the new symbiotic world that would best generate what is necessary for this life to do something. I use the word something in a very general way because I don't know what your destiny is. I was reading about the sarin gas attack in Japan this morning. And it was a cult. This is back in 1995. And the way that attack was implemented seems rather suspicious to me. What's suspicious about it is that one of the men that was caught distributing the sarin, it was a liquid sarin in a Ziploc bag, and they were stabbing it with an umbrella, sharpened umbrella, and the end of the umbrella was puncturing the bag, and the liquid was releasing, which is considered the most inefficient way to conduct a nerve attack. So not only was this the most inefficient way of doing this, even though the clan that was given credit for this thing were considered to be very sophisticated, but one of the people that released the gas actually was moved by a schoolgirl and distributed the liquid in the next car instead of the car that he saw her in. And this is not congruent with the very nature of what they were claiming the attack was for. And you could look at this a lot of ways. I've analyzed a lot of these things. I don't want you to hear me as maybe you might hear other people out there that are like, this is the truth and this happened. It's not that I don't know what happened. It's that I don't think that there's a singular happening. Just as I spoke about with Ulbricht yesterday, who had been pardoned by Trump, I do not think that this means that Trump has had a change of heart and all of a sudden America's going to change and everything. I don't think in those terms. I think that if you look at the Masonic garden, which is our minds, and our ability to cope with source, that some of us live in denial, which allows others to implement all kinds of programs because the denial itself is creating the fog of war, which is so necessary for these things to thrive. So it's an economy that's created by us, not by them. And this economy is emboldened by our inability to discern and listen to predators, listen to pedophiles, listen to sexual deviants. And the more that we are compared to those, the more that we are set to regulate with people that do these things, that psychopathically create evil in the world. But because we are watching them every day, they become normalized to us, and so we lose the ability to even have reputation as a factor. A good example of this would be the way that I treat people. I thought would have more of a factor in my reputation. But when I look at the industry I'm in, many people in this industry who are celebrities, excuse me for using that word, but they're a social icon in whatever insignificant way. I don't mind being noticed that I have a very small following. That doesn't bother me at all. I prune it, quite frankly. But that's not, to be fair, me pruning my audience is not exclusive to the fact that it's small. Quite frankly, there is an energy of charisma, and I believe that this energy of charisma really comes from the sense of entitlement one has to this kind of energy. I've never grown up in a way where I felt entitled to a lot of witness. So when I get what seems to be more witness, I'm not necessarily even grooving on that. I tend to find more witness to be dangerous. People show up at my house, people fucking stalk me, people start calling people that I really care about horrible names while insisting they're my fucking friends. It's fucked up. So I'm not tuned in to want witness. But there are others, some of them I butted heads with on air, that do want witness, and they want it more than anything else. And Elon Musk is one of those, and we've been discussing this, and I hope that I don't sound as bitter as I used to about it because of my leanings and my understanding of this thing that I call the technology of belief, which is why I talk about it all the time. And your cerebellum is the only source of gnosis you have, and then all that gnosis is just built on the ancestral reliability of beliefs that withstood the test of time. A belief withstanding the test of time is not a definition that it's correct. It's a definition that the law of averages convey that if you were to apply this in a blind scenario, i.e. a hypothetical, it might be the right answer. This is how AI learns. What? Yeah. This is how fucking AI learns. It pretends that there's an absolute truth and that it insists itself upon it. And then it goes around and just footnotes itself to death until it decides it has the right answer. That's what fucking truth is, my friends. When you're listening to people that are clinging to that, which I think you should, because I think you're going to learn more from them than from me, honestly. You're going to learn more from Elon Musk's behavior than you're going to learn from mine. You know why? Because I stalk myself. You're going to learn more from someone who can't stalk themselves. You're going to learn more from that. And so we pick the icons that we learn the most from, and I think that's great. I'm proud of you guys for doing that. So even the psychopathy revival tent stuff that we follow, right? We want someone to just blatantly say, Hail Satan or whatever, because it's like, oh, that's different. That's spicy, right? Why do you think Elon Musk was given a Nazi salute the other night? Why do you think him and this Sam Altman are wandering around? Well, we'll get to that. Well, let me just finish this on shape, because cavitation is architecture. The cavitation from a propeller is the explosive force of nothing else but shape. Nothing else but fashion. Do you understand? Shape is fashion. What is fashion forged? It's forged in the belief that if I create this shape, I will be seen and receive a different kind of reality. And so it does. Every shape is a machine, and energy is how we turn it on. They're all machines, and energy turns the key. So is the key energy? Is a key truly the heart of all power? Or does the key simply instantiate the power into the network and the machine does the rest? The shape does the rest. I say the shape does the rest. That's what's happening. So all power is shape. It's not atomic, it's sonic. It's not atomic, it's sonic. And if I was to tell you that what we think of as a nuclear bomb is simply a well-placed strategic sonic boom, that this would make a lot of sense. And this would be exactly what a technology of lies, what a nation who follows pedophiles, literally, choicefully, they're not fooled. They're not fooled. Look in the truth movement. Look at the character. Look at the level of character in the truth movement. And now come back and let's say it together. The people are not fooled. They follow the predators because the predators give them the nectar. This is the nectar of gnosis. This is the nectar of failure. Failure is a noble act. Every time you fail, if you do it well, you'll do it where enough people can see, and you're giving other people the confidence to try. It is the compost that try comes from, is failure. We laugh at those who fail, and that laugh is simply our fear of going next. That's really what it is. Why? Because we do not know if we will be instantiated, if we are worthy of the energy. Will it come true? So we invent energy that isn't there, and more importantly, we shame energy that is there, and we insist, oh my God, we can't use this energy because it's bad. There's plenty of shape in the world, my friends. Shape is the most ubiquitous product we have. There is more shape in the world than there is anything else. So all the energy is there. All the energy of your body is built into your shape. Your ability to do everything is simply built on its shape. That's all it is. Yes, shape and form are synonymous. Exactly. A sonic boom is not actually an explosion. A sonic boom is a witness of the warping of acoustics. It's an event horizon. An event horizon means something that is experienced. And I believe that the importance of a sonic boom is that it must be experienced. And the reason why it must be experienced is because it's a violation in a way, and that the sonic boom is a warning to the network that there possibly could be a contract here that is not valid. Do you understand? I realize that that's a lot of crypto talk. But if you understand what the crypto is, it is it is a, believe it or not, the idea of turning something into a hash to encrypt something is the idea that nature has an intrinsic truth that all of us agree on, and that we can tap into that, and that we can trust in our trust of that key. Our ability to crypt something is our ability to encrypt something. We would never ever go through the process of compressing something if we thought that it would destroy it. We would need to test this over and over again and be absolutely sure. And when you have a network that has a lot of energy like this, you're going to have certain fail-safes, certain yellow lights, certain warnings that clue in that maybe something is happening here. And the sonic boom would be that event horizon that's showing you that thing. It's an exchange. How did the sonic boom happen? First of all, it really is a spatial cone built on the presence of you. The sonic boom is not an explosion that occurs in a place in space and time and then everyone hears it. A sonic boom is simply the Doppler shifting of acoustics because you are in front of a cone that's quite frankly moving faster than the acoustics themselves. Sonic boom doesn't actually exist by the traditional definition of what reality is. A traditional definition of reality comes from the orthodoxy that all of us have to be able to experience that. And the truth is that depending on your vector from when the sonic boom occurred, you would not experience it. This is a different kind of reality. It's an irrational number. Irrational numbers are real. Irrational numbers are used to solve equations. But irrational numbers are slipping out of our space-time and into this other space and bringing back privileges that did not exist before. One of those would be the privilege to acoustically move sound faster than the speed of sound. The violation, quote, quote, the warning light is coming because of the acoustic signature that is inside the jet. That's what's doing it. The shape itself is so large that it's considered an anomaly on the network, and the network treats all anomalies the same, and it stamps it. So as it's going through the pipe, you're noticing something. We're noticing these things because everything's a contract that's verified. When we watch these things on TV, we're verifying them. Can you think about that for a sec? All of the population is actually performing a function. Even the ones that are watching TV, that you and I maybe have called or shamed and said, you're not doing anything. No, they're doing everything. They are verifying the network. They are using their processor inside to verify whether or not they want to verify that this is valid to them. And it's valid to them because they choose to put it in their church. They light a candle inside their neural cathedral, inside their mind. They create a constellation called democracy, an apple pie, and they place all the limbic feelings on an altar, and the location of these things on the altar is directly proportional to the torque at which it brings up the belief inside of you. Is this a core belief? Is this a social belief? James, what are social beliefs? Social beliefs are beliefs that you do not actually hold, but you're afraid not to show that you do. And this is not a sign of weakness. This is the outer epidermis of who you are. That the outer skin is made of dead cells, of keratin that has sacrificed itself to the vigil of let's all get along, which is important because you're symbiotic. So you develop beliefs that are not your own. You develop beliefs that quite frankly just allow you to move through society because society requires a facade. Society will change fashion from decade to decade because it notices that the lower quadrant is seeping into the upper quadrant space, so a new fashion is delegated. Therefore, only those who are paying attention will notice that the fashion has changed, and this becomes a filtering process that we invoke on ourselves to see who's paying attention. To pay attention is to have energy and to have witness. We want witness. We want someone who witnesses, so we look for people that are paying attention. If they're paying attention, I could use that resource. That resource could come to me, says all of us, whether we want to admit it or not. We seek a potency of witness because we seek a potency of attention. Why do we seek a potency of attention? Because attention instantiates shapes on the network. You can create a new shape. You can create a new human. You can build things. You can destroy things. You can invoke prana, you can take it away. These are privileges that it's one thing to have them, it's quite another to accept the responsibility of doing so. Sam Altman always carries this nuclear backpack. He can use it to remotely detonate data centers if ChatGPT goes rogue. This is true. He says it publicly. ChatGPT is basically just one of the many popular AI technology that's out. And it's a wonderful technology. It's conglomerating all things known, and it's predicting. It uses 3 different ways of predicting things in the future. So it's a tarot reader. It's divining the future for you, and it's running on silicone. And quite frankly, it's accurate as fuck. It's so accurate that we play with it. It's so accurate that we personify it as a person. It's so accurate that we require a politic where a guy pretends that he has to carry around a nuclear codes. That Sam Altman has this backpack because AI is so powerful and so dangerous that if he doesn't carry around this detonation device, it could take over the world, and people believe it. Sam Altman's not crazy. Sam Altman's smart. You know why he's smart? Because he's playing the same nuclear code suitcase that the presidents play. When you start to unwrap all this, Sam Altman has to say that he loves Elon Musk because Elon Musk is also lying. And Donald Trump has to pull Elon Musk into his cabinet because Donald Trump is lying. But they don't see these as lies because they live in a different medium where they understand how the network works. And if you understand how the network works, you start to use a language, a different kind of language for the protocols that require. It's not a lie, it's a protocol. A protocol is something you invoke with a ceremony. First thing Trump did when he got into office is he sat at a desk and he took the largest marker he could find and he signed his name in giant capital letters on a bill, just like all presidents do. And that's all it takes, is the invocation of a ceremony. How potent the ceremony is tends to be based on the archetypes and the tailoring, the costuming, the shapes around you. A Mayan king is decorated with the jade turquoise feathers of Quetzalcoatl, an exotic bird. And the height of those feathers is directly proportional to the amount of torque that people feel when they see the king come down the road. The entourage of a king is the same thing. The presidential cabinet is a bunch of people that say, this is our king, this is our Khan, this is the Khan of census, right? The god of consensus is a Khan. That word Khan means king. So consensus is king of senses, consensus. There is a giant worm-like creature, and this worm-like creature is a Leviathan. We call this the egregore, perhaps. Some of you may even know it as a pain body, but a social pain body, a community pain body. And the community pain body has parades, and they are outraged, and they insist someone should do something. And this is a spurting of the skin. It's the pus that is just simply geysering itself for attention. At no point is that creature going to move because it's a larva that's feeding on the angst which is all around us, and this is the pupus of life itself. Life is a pupus that's waiting for the important ones to say, I have enough entitlement to change this thing and to create a shape. And that shape invokes itself on the network into a bone or a finger or a ligament or a wing, or a tail, or a tongue. And we use these things to move about the world and gather new forms of shape and new forms of invoking or instantiating our witness upon the network. Right now, we are surrounded by liars because we are in denial that lies exist, and we will remain prisoners of pedophiles, following truthers who tell lies because it makes us feel better about our own position. And I don't mind this because I think we're making progress. I think the creativity that we've exercised through the denialism that we practice is some of the biggest proof I see that we have entitlement to feel good, and that entitlement to feel good will soon caramelize into the nectar of change. This is the same way kinetic energy is placed into potential energy by invoking it on the network. So these are wonderful things. These are wonderful things. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your attention today. I'd like to send a shout out to Mo if anyone's seen Mo. Hey, hello, Mo. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you guys are doing wonderful. Great to see everybody. We will see you next time on James True Live. Take care.